Well, hi, mateys. We are going to move into decimals now. Woo! Starting with adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting decimals are very easy. You need to know two things. The first thing, you must line up the decimal points all the time whenever you add or subtract. Not when you multiply or divide. When you multiply and divide, you don't. But adding, subtracting, you got to line up the decimal points. And then the second thing you got to know is you can add zeros if necessary. So for example, if I have the number 12.1, which I'll write down here, this is the same as the fraction 12 and 1/10. So I have 12 wholes and I have 1/10. That is the same as 12.10. So there's no difference between 12.1 and 12.10. In fact, I can add as many zeros to the end after a decimal point. So as long as it's after the decimal point, I can keep adding zeros as much as I want, and it doesn't change the number. So those are the things you got to know to be able to add and subtract decimals, and you also have to know how to add and subtract. So if you got the adding and subtracting part down, it's going to be super easy. So let's jump right into it. Make my screen a little smaller. Whee! Okay. So if you're going to add 8.13 and 2.76, it's going to be pretty simple. You just write them. Well, first you want to estimate in your head. So this is about 8. This is a little bit less than 3. 8 plus 3 is about 11. So your answer should be about 11 when you're done with it. And then you're going to want to line them up vertically with the decimal points lined up. That is key every time you add and subtract. So you line up the decimal points. These have 2 digits after the decimal, so you don't have to add any extra zeros. It's all set to go. And then you just add. So 3 plus 6 is 9. 1 plus 7 is 8. And 8 plus 2 is 10. And then you just drop the decimal point right down below there. 10.89, which is really close to 11. So yay, that's a reasonable answer, and it's correct. Okay, so for B, you're going to add again. The only difference is this one has 3 digits after the decimal, and this one has 1 digit after the decimal. So how do you think we need to rewrite 23.7 to be able to solve this problem? So yeah, we're going to have to add a couple of zeros. So we're going to write out 23.700. Now they both have 3 digits after the decimal. Again, line up the decimals. Got to do that every time you add or subtract. And now you just straight up add. Boom, there you go. 25.159. If you have some issues with adding, you should see us during On Demand. We can help you out. All right, now let's move to subtraction. It's the exact same thing. Line up the decimals, add zeros if you have to do it, and then subtract. So here, we'll do an estimate. It's about 5.5 minus a little more than 3. So the answer is going to be, I don't know, probably 3-ish, somewhere in that range. And then you line up the decimals, as you always do, and then you just subtract. 8 minus 4 is 4. We got to borrow. Anyway, if you need some help subtracting, just regular subtracting, see me and I can help you with that. And then after you subtract, you just drop the decimal point down. Boom, done. So, and this is a little less than 3, a little more than 2. This is a reasonable answer. Okay, so now we got 21.9 minus 1.605. How do we need to rewrite 21.9 to be able to do this problem? Again, we're going to have to add a couple of zeros because we want 3 digits after the decimal, because this one has 3 digits after the decimal. And then you're going to have to do a bit of borrowing from this 9 here to be able to subtract, and you'll end up with 20.295. And again, just put the decimal point straight down into the answer. Done. Easy peasy. Okay, and the last example is a word problem. Some of your problems that you will encounter will be word problems. So your meal at the school cafeteria, which we won't be using because of COVID, is $3.45, and your friend's meal costs $3.90. And then you buy both of those meals with a $10 bill. How much change do you receive? So for this problem, you're going to pay with a 10. You're paying for 2 meals totaled up, and you want to know how much change is left. So it's good to kind of think about what's happening here. So the amount of change is going to be equal to the amount you give them minus the cost of both meals combined. So, and then we just plug in what's missing here. So the amount given was $10. Cost of your meal is $3.45, and the cost of your friend's meal is $3.90. And then here you would start by adding these stuff in the parentheses, order of operations, line up the decimals. 3.45 plus 3.90 gives you 7.35. which you're then going to subtract from 10. And then you line up the decimals again. So it's 10.00 minus 7.35 ends up with 2.65. Therefore, you receive $2.65 in change. Now, for those of you that have a tough time just with long addition and subtraction, see me for help, see Ms. Rude for help, send us emails or use Flipgrid to ask me a question, but get some help on that. But otherwise, if you're comfortable with adding and subtracting, you just got to remember two things. Line up the decimals and then add zeros if you need extra zeros for placeholders. And that's it. That's the whole thing. So good luck. Choose either the mild or the spicy option. I'll be around to help you during on demand, or you can email me with any questions. Ms. Rude will also be available every day in the ASC. Okay, good luck, Pirates. Arr!